is really synonymous with some of the best things about Southborough, both his involvement with the Southborough Open Land Foundation, Chestnut Hill Farm, the Beals Preserve, and our assets like that. But also, I remember him in the brief time I got to know him as a very kind and warm person. So I think it's appropriate that we recognize him and express our condolences. Is there anyone else who would like to share any quick memories of Mr. Beals?
Yes, I would. Thank you. I would not say that I know Whit well, but I've certainly interacted with him actively over a number of years. And I got to know him a lot better during the time that I've been the town's representative to the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority Advisory Board. And Whit has been, for a long time, a champion of watershed protection and has worked tirelessly to help acquire watershed lands around the reservoirs, the Wachusett, the Quabbin Reservoir. They've been a critical factor in terms of filtering the water that goes into those reservoirs and allowing the water supply for the greater Boston area to start as much more pure water than in many places where they're drilling it and pulling it out of the ground. That's been a huge plus in terms of cost saving as well as quality improvement for water. And Whit has led that charge tirelessly over decades. And I think that's a very unknown, less known and unappreciated aspect of what he's done for the larger community, in addition to his tireless work on behalf of the town and the Beals Preserve and other very important contributions to Southborough. So a great loss for the community and for the state as well, as a matter of fact. So very sad to hear that news. Thank you.
Anyone else like to say anything? Marguerite? No?
I didn't know him well, but I knew him from many town meetings, and he always was supportive of keeping Southborough wild.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comment, and this is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to an item that's not on the agenda. And under our policy, we ask that people keep public comment to 3 minutes or under. Yep. So if you could first just please introduce yourselves and your name and address.
We are John and Susan Pomfret of 7 Cottage Street. Why are we here? Because you wouldn't put us on the agenda, which we had requested. What is the problem? My husband, John, met with DPW and contractors 4 months ago. Before paving Cottage Street, DPW had promised to keep the asphalt 3 inches below the level of our driveway. DPW made promises and they broke them. When Cottage Street was recently reconstructed, they didn't do as they promised. DPW's contractor incorrectly paved to the top of our cobblestones, permitting drainage water to overflow in from the road. As a result, water now flows into the driveway and ultimately into our cellar. What did we do to fix water drainage problems prior to paving? We rebuilt our driveway at major expense about 10 years ago. The pavement in front of our driveway was 3 inches lower, so water drainage flowed past instead of over the cobblestones and into the driveway. This prevented problems we had with water getting into our cellar, creating mold and health issues. We purchased and installed an industrial-sized dehumidifier, an iWave air purification system, gutters, and underground disbursement of water, drainage water. Over a period of time, we spent about $20,000 to mitigate drainage water problems. What is the solution? The back and forth with the DPW has been going on for months. All we are asking is to restore the pavement to the original level in front of our driveway and extend that trough about 6 feet in the westerly direction. Kindly instruct your new DPW superintendent to restore what we had, pavement 3 inches lower to keep water out of our driveway. This is all about fixing asphalt, all on town property. We spent a lot of money to keep water from flowing into the driveway. You broke it, you fix it, please. We have a quick video showing the water flowing into the driveway.
On October 21st, during a moderate rainfall, the video shows street drainage pouring over our driveway, creating a river undermining the bricks. The longer it rains or the heavier it rains, there is a larger volume of drainage water going into the driveway. That creates an artificial reservoir on our property that eventually gets into our cellar. The sandbags, DPW drainage solution obviously didn't help much. Please do as my wife asked. Please dig up and restore the asphalt to recreate 3-inch lower level in front of our driveway so the water flows by the driveway. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak under public comment? Either, up to you.
Cynthia Foster, 3 Aspenwood Lane, but I'm here as a retiree because I was here the night that lots of people spoke out about the Aetna change, and I just want you to know what's happened to me. Yesterday, I had my annual wellness visit. I went to schedule next year's appointment. We got it scheduled, and I said, okay, so my insurance next year will be Aetna. And the person said, oh, Cindy, we don't take Aetna. And I said, no, you don't take the Aetna HMO. This is a PPO, extended service, and anyone who takes Medicare will take this insurance. So she called the business manager. The business manager said, yeah, no, Aetna, no. And they had a very short list. They showed me the list of insurances they don't take. It was very short. So I went home. I called the hotline, the transition team hotline. To their credit, they knew who I was, what Southborough was. That was good. I gave them all the information about who to speak to at the doctor's office. Person said, I'll get back to you. Still waiting. Clearly, there's not going to be a solution for me through Aetna. So I'm not sure what you all expect me to do. I did get in touch with my current provider in hysterics, asking, were there any available affordable plans to me? And they do have something that I would probably end up having to do. But I need you guys to know that what they promised you is not true. It just isn't true. And I don't know what to do.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a couple of questions?
Yep.
So, when did you contact Aetna?
Yesterday,
Okay, so yesterday.
She didn't contact Aetna. She called the transition team, correct?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
yes, yes.
Okay, so you contacted the transition team yesterday.
Mhm.
Okay. And they have not gotten back, well, that you spoke to them?
Oh, the woman that I spoke with said that she would get right back to me.
Okay, so,
Gave her my cell phone number. I haven't heard a word.
okay, so well, it's been
More than 24 hours.
more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Mr. Purple, the Aetna representatives stood right there and told us that this was not going to be a problem. And told me very specifically, because I
You did.
asked. And so while I might like to give them a day or two more to see if they can resolve this issue, I would expect that if it's not resolved, because then I think we need to have a serious discussion with Aetna about the representations they made to this board. Because this is a very serious matter. So can I ask you to follow up?
Absolutely. Well, I'm following up as we speak, but it's the first thing I'll do tomorrow morning.
So someone will get back to you, Cindy, to find out what's going on here. I'm going to be very surprised if the business manager is not wrong. What was the hardest part probably we're really not supposed to be doing what we're doing, but it's okay for the moment. Because it's not on the agenda, but the hardest thing for me to I think relate to the retiree group is that the concept of in-network, out-of-network doesn't apply to the individual retiree, but it does still apply to the doctors. If they are not part of the Aetna network, they do have to submit a different set of forms to be reimbursed as long as they are a Medicare doctor. So before we jump to conclusions, let's just get the facts and find out and get back to her and see if we can't get this resolved.
And I think, so there'll be some follow-up from Mr. Purple and
Okay, and how and when is that gonna happen? Because it's November and time is fleeting here. In the meantime, I did call my current provider. I read all the stuff about if by law they have to offer us an opt-out. My concern is when we had the Zoom information meeting and the people from Fall River said, oh, no, there were no problems at all. And I was like, yeah, sure. And because I'm so positive. How are the selectmen the select board going to know how many people opt out because they're running into this lose your primary or?
well, I'd expect we'd hear from it from, circumstances just like you're describing, but I want to
Can we just not jump
the
to
agenda
conclusions
moving
here?
along? Yeah.
Let's just
So-
find out what's happened here and get back to her and then go from
Yes.
there.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I'll hear from Mark, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Okay. Mr. Hegarty?
Hello, Jim Hegarty, 14 Maple Crest Drive. I come as a private citizen here. It's interesting. I'm calling to ask your board to consider adding an agenda item for future item. For you to consider whether it would be appropriate to have a new bylaw that would require a higher quantum of votes for approval of CPC funding at town meeting than a simple majority when it's to fund a project that the town doesn't actually own. And there are 3 projects that I'm aware of that are in the queue to ask for several hundreds of thousands of dollars for CPC funds that are for town properties that we don't own. And I think it's a worthy discussion that it's an unusual activity. And there are plenty of votes that we take at town meeting that require 2/3. There are some 80%, some even 90% for various reasons. And I think that this is a worthy discussion that there should be a higher bar to meet to authorize the spending of town money for something we don't own. The voters, it's their money, the voters should have that right, but I think it's a discussion you might want to consider having yourselves, okay? Because I'd rather have a discussion in a forum like this versus somebody bring a citizen petition and then, it just comes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Claire? And then I'm hoping that after this, we can now move on to the rest of the
Good evening.
regular agenda items.
I'm Claire Reynolds, 104 Main Street. I'm not exactly sure of the protocol here. I'm here to speak to an item that's on the agenda.
please-
Can I do that?
Yes, please wait once we get to that item on the agenda.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
all right.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the poll hearing. And is someone from National Grid here?
Yes.
Okay, great.
On the Zoom.
Could you,
Absolutely.
thank you.
The Southborough Select Board shall hold a public hearing Tuesday, November 7th, 2023, 6:35 PM. McAuliffe Hearing Room at the Southborough Townhouse, 17 Common Street, Southborough, Mass. To consider a petition by Mass Electric Company, National Grid, and Verizon New England Incorporated to install one joint-owned pole to lay and maintain laterals, cables, and wires to install a push brace and to remove tree guys at 81 Oak Hill Road Meeting may also be listened to or viewed by the public through a link located at masouthboro.civicplus.com/674/virtual meetings, Southborough Select Board.
All right. Okay, we have our Rebecca Castadio. Okay, could you please introduce yourself and is there a quick presentation you'd like to make?
Hi, my name's Rebecca. I work for National Grid. Pretty much just currently there's two tree guys that go into the trees at 81, in between 81 and 79 Oak Hill Drive. We try at all costs to get rid of them now because they just killed the trees. So we just want to take those two tree guys out, install a push brace to support pole 31 that's currently still there. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Does anyone from the board have any questions about this?
Nope, looks straightforward to me.
Is there any public comment?
What is the tree guy? Wayne Black, 94 Oakville Road.
It's just a guy wire. It's a metal wire that goes from the pole itself to into the, back in the day, they used to secure them any way that they could. So they used to put a big anchor from a pole to anything. So they used to use trees. So it's a metal wire and it helps guide the tree. I mean, the pole. So if you look at it, the pole right now, currently there's two metal wires that are anchored into a tree. And what happens, it ends up killing the tree over the years. So any chance that we can now, we try to take those guy wires out and support it differently. A push brace is one of them. Another one is a down guy that goes into the ground. Just the angle of pole 31, how it taps off down Hilltop Drive. We need that push brace to kind of help support it that way. So that's why they put that push brace instead of, a guy wire, different things.
Right, the same situation was on pole 32, which is in the diagram. It was
Yep.
a wire that went from that pole through two oak trees down to the next pole at the next house down from me, heading south. And we ended up having them cut that wire because the tree was dead. It was halfway through the tree, and that tree still stands dead, ready to fall on my property, my wife, my son, myself, but nobody's done anything about taking that tree down completely. Number one. Number two, between pole 32 and 31, there's a tree that was taken down because it came down in a storm. Nobody came back to take care of the stump that was on that hill that goes from the rock wall of my property to Oak Hill Road. So we've got people climbing or deer or whatever that hill, knocking rocks down off the rock wall towards Oak Hill Road to that hill.
So there's a stump grinding issue, and then there's also
A dead
Tree.
tree that's.
what's your address again, sir?
94.
94 Oak Hill Road.
Okay, yep.
Yep, it's right next to pole 32. Down a
Okay.
little bit, yeah.
All right,
Probably
thanks.
about 30 feet. And then there's a bunch of trees, weed trees, as I call them, because all they do is support the poison ivy that likes to grow up. The telephone pole, telephone lines, and then run across it all. And when you get wintertime and you get snow, ice and everything else, that's why we have so many wire issues, power issues, and trees coming down. Because they don't really do anything because of that hill from the rock wall down to Oak Hill Road. It's probably a 6 to 8 foot drop from my property down to Oak Hill Road at 94 Oak Hill Road.
Okay.
The diagram shows the existing pole 31. That's staying where it is, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you're gonna have to maneuver and move some maple trees from Hilltop Drive because where you're proposing to put the push brace, there's 4 maple trees between the corner of Oak Hill Road and my side entry, which goes to the side door of my house. So you're gonna need to maneuver and get rid of those maple trees that are dying anyway and make space for your push pole.
Yeah. So I'm not 100%, like this wasn't my job. But usually when they put it in, it usually goes about 6 feet off the pole. So if there is tree trimming that needs to be done, Dana Larson is the person who designed this. I work in the office with him. I can definitely make sure that he puts in tree trimming and also to trim along,
Got lost.
She muted.
Muted.
now it is town property, so we can only trim, I think it's 6 feet on the side of our power lines. So just keep that in mind, but I can definitely have a tree crew go down and trim up these poles and I'll have them look at that, the stump that is there in front of 94, Oak Hill Road.
Okay, my initial question to this whole thing was, why do the poles come up from Ashland into Southborough on the other side of the street, 83, 81 side, and then maneuver over to my side of the street, pole 31 and 32? Why don't they just come up to 81 and 79, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the tree guys? They would have their own lines going to where they needed to get them and go from there. Because right now, the lines are coming by these two big oak trees. They're leaning on the wires. The oak trees have never been trimmed. There's dead branches up there, 3 feet wide, that are ready to fall. And somebody needs to address
Okay,
those trees as well.
we can look into the tree removal issue, but is there any other
Nope,
concern?
Just giving you the full scope of what's
All
out
right.
there.
Thank you.
Thank you for your eyes on the ground.
Any other public comment about the 81 Oak Hill Road poll hearing? Seeing none, I move that we close the public hearing.
We
Second,
discussed this before. We close it. He's brought up, what was your name? I've got 94,
Wayne Black.
Wayne Black. Do we want to continue this and have Bill kind of meet with him to make sure we're taking care of this
I
correctly?
am about this right now, but I don't,
Yeah, I don't think so. I think
I don't think this delays.
we need to coordinate.
Yeah.
With DPW on this. It
Two
sounds like
different,
there's-
two different issues, two different related issues.
Okay. We have a tree policy and I just want to make sure that, we're talking about trimming
Yeah.
trees now. I just want to make sure that we really have thought through what we're doing here before we authorize something that we really didn't mean to authorize. So if you're comfortable that the trimming that she referred to is something they can do without another hearing? I'm not. I don't
I
know.
just wanted to add, I just looked this up real fast in our system because I'm not familiar with the area. And the pole lines do cross over in front of his house from pole 32, but they continue all the way down Oak Hill Drive. I mean, all the way down to the end. So the poles have to stay on that side of the road. As for the tree trimming, I mean, there is oak trees on both sides of the road. It's all the way down. It's not just on one side. So there's,
Yeah.
tree trimming needs to be done. I mean, we can do as much tree trimming as we can legally between our power lines, but I mean, we can't go cutting all kinds of trees down that's not ours and that's on town property. So that would be the DPW. I mean, I could have somebody from our office meet, anybody. I just don't have a definite answer for that.
So I'm okay if we want to go forward. It's
Yeah.
just, he said there's 4 maple trees that have to come down as part of the work they want to do. So that's why I'm confused. If we can separate the other work that that Mr. Beck thinks needs to be looked at from what grid needs to get done here, fine. But he said there's 4 trees that are going to have to come down in order for them to get done what they're trying to get done with this. And that's why I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't,
Four maple trees going from that to the pole along Hilltop Drive, so depending on how much of an angle.
there's what I come down here.
They might
Yeah,
have-
no one can hear you.
There's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's-
So.
Is this